Well, if there's one thing the gays love, it's a talented diva.
Yeah.
And who better?
Thank you, Al.
Come on, Faye.
He's obviously talking about me, girl. What's wrong with you?
I was talking about myself. All right. And who better than one of the most iconic divas of all time, Whitney Houston. As a nostalgic throwback to better times, the official Whitney Houston TikTok account posted a major throwback clip of the Grammy Award-winning,
Throwback. Throwback.
All right. Wait,
Y'all see what
let me go
that's
back. The Houston TikTok account posted a major throwback clip of the Grammy-winning R&B and pop legend, giving the crowd everything they could have ever wanted at MTV's Pride Pier Dance in New York back in 1999. In the clip, Houston is performing the Thunderpuss remix of her 1999 single, It's Not Right, But It's Okay, which was and still is a staple in many gay clubs all over the world.
It was one of your friends, done off at the bar, sweet boy. So why did 2 or 3 show up on your call ID? Oh, it's not
The biopic on Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody hits theaters this Christmas. And we remind you, she did that performance completely as surprise. No one in the audience knew that she was going to do it. Question 5. With a Bacardi shot, I'd swallow that. In advance of Houston's Christmas movie, I celebrate with her 1999 NYC Pride surprise.
Yes.
Whitney Houston.
So sad. I miss her, man. What wasted talent. You know, and you just, you know, so I'm getting a group together to go see the movie when it comes out, right? And for bros, I had to talk people into it. I had to go, well, it's the first gay movie, and this guy did this, and Billy Eichner that, and you have to support everybody that I'm telling.
Be beating gay boys off with a stick.
Everybody I'm telling to let's go together and let's get, everybody wants to go.
Yes.
Not just, not you, Trini. And it's everybody. I mean, but gay, straight, black, white, like everything, all ages. This is going to be the blockbuster of Christmas. I really think so.
For sure.
So excited. I mean, this is a true story. I almost went to that. I was in college. We were actually talking about going to that.
The New York Pride.
Yes,
Pride,
I almost went that year and everything. And when I found that out after the fact, because I mean, you know, we'd have to drive like 13 hours, and I was like, I've never done this before. I felt so terrible. Oh. And the thing is that song, so this is a true story.
Preach.
The first time I went to a gay bar, when I was in college, I was like maybe like 3 months in, that song played. It was the third song that played when I got there, and I had never heard it before. Because, you know, back then, remixes weren't like they are now. And I thought I was having like an aneurysm, like a gay aneurysm. I literally was like, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And I think that her doing that performance there at the time that things are going, because remember, we've talked about this before, AIDS was still a thing, gay hate was still a thing, it was still high. So for somebody of that caliber to show up was such a big deal.
Has anybody watched that clip? Now remember, what we're watching is an impromptu performance.
We can tell.
I would have died.
I would die.
I mean,
here's
I'm
the
sorry.
gist. It's not only that, but it's the other context of my question. In terms of the biopic that we're going to see, December 23rd comes out, and we know the Whitney Houston story and what happened and the drugs and bye-bye and et cetera and so on. When you watch that, does it make you sad of what Whitney Houston ultimately became?
Yes, completely. Just like when she got on stage, like right before she passed away, and you just saw her, you know, just so skinny and so waif looking, and you just could see her slowly dying. And we didn't know we would lose her soon.
It's difficult.
But so there's several things. She did 2 performances. They were all the mixes on purpose because she knew that LGBTQIA kept the dance floors alive, kept artists like her in the mainstream. And so she purposely chose that. In addition to that, she said she wanted to support the people who supported her, and that she wanted to support those who had pride in themselves. Yeah. And so although in her life, it showed that she was being in reality. So she might have been on something. She might have been living who she was, but she still took time to be on that stage to support her gay citizens.
Or
Yeah,
she was
but-
on that
and do
stage
that.
because she's gay as hell and she couldn't be out, so she's like, I'm
yeah,
gonna be
no,
with
but hold
you.
on.
But she
No.
very much said, hey, I have pride in being a mother, a wife, a daughter. And
No,
they
but
had
I don't think
pride.
people
Wait.
understand what that song did for the gay community.
It was
Like
so
when I was
big.
coming out, that song, man,
Yes, absolutely.
that
do
song
it.
changed my fucking life.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right, it's okay, I'm gonna make it anyway, because I was getting bashed, I was getting hated on. My parents didn't fucking like me. Like, I would drive 45 minutes at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to these clubs so I can hear songs like that. Because it meant so much to me to be who I was on the dance floor. And it's not about Whitney, it was what she had done for us in a moment where in the outside world, we were freaks. We were getting bashed. We were scared of AIDS and HIV and other STDs. And while we were there dancing to her song, and I remember Eddie Thunderpuss remix
Yep.
changed my life.
Every Thunderpuss.
Sure.
But that one in particular changed our lives because in that moment, we didn't give a shit about anything else in the world except having a good time and loving each other on the dance floor.
And those places, I remember we go in at 12 and we didn't leave until 6.
Yeah.
We left everything there, and we could sweat it out. We could
Left
cry it out.
everything.
We could,
Yes.
Our tops off. We could be free
absolutely.
who we were.
be
Yes.
free, and
Yeah.
we can go in that moment. And again, going back, she supported those folks who gave her first, like her dance, #1 on the dance charts because of us, because of the Thunderpuss.
I
Because we all
want
kept
to
the clubs
change
alive.
the subject just slightly to say when that was happening and the emotion wells up in you in terms of what that moment and what Whitney Houston represented to you. At the exact same time in 1999, she's at NYC Pride and she is secretly a lesbian and nobody knew it.
Yep.
Nobody knew it. What do you think about that today now? How does that wash over you of going, gosh, we wish that she would have had the exact same reaction that you just had. I am proud of who I am, and I'm going to tell the whole world.
I'm telling you right now, so obviously I do the weekly karaoke show every Thursday, and I can tell you, Whitney Houston's life now and Whitney Houston's history now, it changes the context of every one of her songs. Because when you think about, I want to dance with somebody that will love me, where do broken hearts go? Like when you go back and you really listen and think about what this woman was going through when she sang these songs,
Powerful.
it is, I've yet to have a week where somebody does one of those songs and I don't sit there just
Or
sitting.
have a week where somebody doesn't sing a Whitney song.
Oh,
Okay, at every karaoke, someone sings a Whitney song.
I wish I could hit that
Does this
shit.
make you feel like, because I feel,
Check out my show.
you know, with this movie coming out, because I love her so much, like to the core of me, like a part
Wait,
of
you
my,
know who she is?
for part of my musical that I'm writing, my autobiographical musical has a scene of me in Homestead as an 8-year-old kid, like singing "I Want to Dance with Somebody," like when they're
we've
there.
got to see that.
But
you have to share that with us.
there is.
David, you should make
But
it.
no, I don't actually have a video. But it's going to be on screen at some point.
We'll make one.
Beta
All of a
Max.
sudden, he's just like all important, and like, I wanted to hear from him. And then, of course,
We don't have a
No,
Beta
but
Max
like I
player.
there's part of me that feels like she gets exploited all the time. This is what the 6th movie of Whitney Houston, and there's always a part of me that feels like, you know, again, that they're gonna wring her through the coals in some kind of way. And I know that everybody who's her fan is gonna come out of there still, of course, being her fan. But there's something about, I don't know if you all feel this way about,
I don't
like,
think
is
that
there
that's going to
something?
happen.
Yeah, I don't
Here's
think that's
the
that
one
kind of
hope
movie.
that I have for this.
Yeah.
This is the same people that did Freddie Mercury, and they could have done that on Freddie Mercury. They could have been so exploitive of where he was and the bathhouses and the sexual escapades that he had, and they could have made it feel really terrible, and they chose not to do
And you
that.
think this is
Yeah.
going to be finally the last movie that they're going to
Well,
make?
probably
They come
not.
out with
Oh,
every
yeah.
year?
This is Whitney Houston.
Right.
Probably not.
But I'm going to
I've
push
never
back
liked
on
them.
you guys on the label, because you know we talked about this before. Label is, I think, hurt, and so to label her as lesbian, not label her pansexual, I really do believe she loved Bobby. I really do believe she loved that young lady that was in
And
her
she was
life,
fluid.
and she was very much fluid. And so I think that then the conversation could be, why wasn't she able to celebrate who she was in loving both of those, and why society norm said that she could not love both of
Exactly.
those. And then what we could have
that.
done to support her better, and I do agree, you know, with Mame said that, you know, the world today had she been today, we had more of an upbringing and more of a pushback to say, you know what, love who you want to love, and it's okay because you're being who you are.
Yeah.
And she never had that support.
You know, it's also interesting when I bring up the lesbian factor, or it could be pansexual. I agree with you. We'll never know that.
Absolutely.
But the one person that has commented on it extensively is the person that she was involved in.
Robin.
And Robin identifies as a lesbian, not pansexual. And Robin has talked extensively about the greatest hit that Whitney Houston ever had, written by Dolly Parton. And so the song from The Bodyguard is Robin saying, this is a secret song of the words that Dolly Parton wrote to her, which is, I am not what you need, and please don't cry over my departure from you. And she has talked extensively about this, and I think that that is very moving from the standpoint of saying, I can't be what you would want or need me to be. Now, Dolly Parton writes it about Porter and leaving how he helped Dolly Parton become who she was. But Whitney Houston embraces this song of going, not thinking about that relationship between Dolly Parton and Porter in the 60s, but her current life. And it becomes the greatest single. It's one of the top 10 songs of all time.
Dolly Parton.
And even
still,
most downloaded and still and all of that. It's crazy.
Dolly Parton still makes $10 million a year off
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's like-
a year off that
and,
song.
and the point,
And donates money.
And donates it.
Donates the
Just
money.
donate.
Right,
Okay.
She
absolutely.
actually donates it specifically.
Okay.
Yes, she
but
does.
the point to that is Whitney Houston, theoretically, if you believe what has been said, knew that she was talking and singing to her lesbian or pansexual embracement, but could never act on it. Doesn't that, in the combination of all of the things, like including what we just watched, in the loss of her voice, very likely because of alcohol and drugs and
Absolutely.
her lifestyle, make you incredibly sad of one of the greatest talents ever in history, and that was the end conclusion.
And if you go back to the history of all the many documentaries, you see that, that during that time is when Bobby kind of had his own issues, Robin was kind of forcing it, so she had to make a choice. So any of those heartfelt songs are the ones who last in the top 10 because they're heartfelt and they have a meaning, whether it's true or not. But then that also could explain why she dove into the other narcotics to self-medicate, to numb, to make it through, because it's evident that throughout her career she wasn't this, she wasn't that, and it's shown throughout many genres. And so I agree with you.
Well-
I think
Wow,
today-
you agree with that? Holy,
right.
hold on. Wow.
Wow.
Woo, hold the
I'll drink
flashes.
that.
Wipe this down,
Yeah, me
somebody.
too. Damn.
Lots of haters here at this table. One thing we can all agree on, we're all seeing this movie on December.
Absolutely.
Hell to the yeah.
No question.
not.
All right, let's move
I'll go
on.
the day after.
Wait,
Faye.
you're not?
I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I was going to say, how is that possible?
I think I got mad. I
Right.
frozen.
You better invite me, Faye.
I'm gonna go see a matinee. I can't deal with the nighttime people.
I agree with you on that.
Let's move on.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.